So before starting this recording, I did a search on YouTube about starting eBay because I wanted to see what the current conversation is and how I can contribute to the current conversation. And I was really shocked to see what I found because I watched this video and then I saw this video, then I saw this video and then this video. And in all these videos, they're doing the same thing, which is some sort of reselling, flipping, thrifting, going to the same shops, Goodwill, Salvation Army, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, wherever they could find, a deal, like some kind of yard sale, sample sale, like wherever they could find a deal and then flip something. And in my mind, wow, this is incredibly cumbersome. Now, I think all the people in these videos, they're definitely, have the right attitude, and they certainly have way more energy than I do. Okay, but from the lens that I'm seeing this as a person who does passive income, this is incredibly cumbersome business model, and I don't really think it's sustainable in the long run. In fact, I don't even think you could fix any of the issues with this type of business model because it doesn't even make any sense. The folks who are doing this, the amount of energy and vigilance and hard work that they put into, I don't think your average person can do this, let alone to be putting up so many YouTube videos of the same thing, talking about this particular business model and suggesting that other people get into it and recommending this for other people. In fact, if we're being completely honest, if you are looking for just stability and to enjoy your weekends and go on vacations, you know what I mean, have some sick days and stuff like that, then you're better off just honing a skill, whether you're going to school or a trade school or something, and just honing a skill and then, get yourself a decent paying job and you're set. You don't have to do what these folks are doing, which is actually taking a risk and working hard every single day. When you think of the amount of work that they put in, honestly, they can't even afford to get sick because if they're not working, they're not earning. See, the biggest issue that I see with this business model is that when you're thrifting, you're always looking for something to sell. And what you should be doing is looking for a steady supplier. I personally come from a long line of businessmen. My father was a businessman. My uncles were. My cousins are. My father-in-law is a factory owner, and his sons are businessmen. So all of our family, we do this, right? And we pass down our knowledge to each other. So there's a lot of things that we know, and the way we see things, the way we view business is not something that they teach in schools. This is all hands-on, year after year of traditional values that is not just not taught in school, but you have to go out there and you have to feel it. You can only offer so much guidance, but you also have to be cut out for it. If you're going to get into business, then you're looking to get rich. You're not looking just for stability. You're looking to bet big, win big on this thing, okay? And I feel as if you go with finding a proper item, a proper supplier, really thinking about what is the proper item that you should be doing, getting it developed so that you have this well-oiled machine, you should be making north of $20K a month. And I'm talking about profit. I'm not even just talking about sales, because what these folks are doing over here, sure, every now and then you're going to find an item and then you're going to score big on it, right? But there's no consistency in it. So, you could try and project your business based on, statistics and how many things you purchase. But another one of the flaws that I see in all these business models is mainly that they go to a shop, they buy something, and then they flip it, and then they tell you about it. But they don't tell you about the stuff that they didn't flip. If you watch videos of all these people giving that advice, they're always doing it in front of all the merchandise and all the knickknacks that they've accumulated, Well, what happened to all those things? Because essentially, if you have 10,000 well thought of items, they should all flip, they should all move. But that's not what somebody can consistently do. If you were to walk into a room and shoot 50 arrows at 50 random targets, you're not going to hit bullseyes on all of them. Nobody can consistently do that, right? But if we take our time, breathe slowly, really think about it, really focus on one target and hit that bullseye, okay? And you do this in a way where you do it in bulk so that you can repeat this process over and over again. Now you have a steady, sustainable business, and that is the right way to do any type of business and not just eBay. What I'm seeing right now is kind of like an easy startup method. I think definitely you could try this to just get some experience to sell on eBay. A little bit of shopping, a little bit of cataloging so that you have an eye for products, right? But in the long run, no, this is not something that you should be jumping into. And the problem with this is that I can only see you digging yourself a deeper and deeper hole. Imagine this. So you go to a shop and you pick up, say, around 50 items. What do you think is really realistically going to happen to those 50 items? You'll maybe sell 10 of them. If you have a better eye, people say like, oh, do you have a knack for picking up items? Do you have a good eye for it? Well, it doesn't matter how good you are. You can't be 100% right all the time, right? So if you pick up 50 items, realistically, how many of them are you going to flip? You'd be lucky if you could do half. That's what I think, realistically. If you could do 30 out of 50, 40 out of 50, great. And then what happens? You suffer the loss of the last 10, 20, or half that you couldn't sell. God forbid that you buy 50 items and you were only able to flip 5 of them. So this truly eats into your costs, right? And I don't think anybody is showing this on YouTube. There's a couple of videos where I saw this one, this one, this one, and this one. And they're all people who are making the same complaint that eBay is too congested. All of these sales are dying down. And some of them even have to quit without any prospects of what they're going to do next. So you could just imagine how dangerous this is, because people tell you to start this business model and then they tell you to stay the course. But over the course, all they've collected was just boxes and boxes in their basement of things that they couldn't flip. See, in business, I think the most arrogant thing I've ever heard from anyone, okay, is that I can do anything. I can sell anything. No, you can't. You can't go from, selling toys one day to selling real estate to selling yachts the next day, right? Come back to selling cars. And then suddenly, it takes time to jump around. There are many tricks of each trade to understand before you could just go ahead and jump into it. So when you get into thrifting, theoretically, you're going in and just betting on all of the items that you see. And then on top of that, as opposed to actually sourcing for a steady supply, what you're doing is sourcing for just one piece. Sometimes, with like video games or DVDs or whatever, you might score like, anywhere between like 5, 6, 10 pieces or whatever. But still, that's a very, very limited quantity. So this is ultimately at the end, right, not a sustainable business model. When I personally do a product, I measure many times and cut once. And what do I mean by that? I go back and forth with the samples with my supplier until we get it right. And we consider many, many things to how it's going to get here and how we're going to ship it out every single day. I don't buy a pair of jeans or something from, Salvation Army or whatever, where I have to maybe try it or clean it or fix it or test it and then pack it and weigh it and catalog it just to sell one copy of it. That sounds absolutely crazy to me. That's so much work. It's so daunting. Even if all of the stuff that you did only takes 1 minute to do, if you had to catalog 100 stuff, that's 100 minutes. How do you have time for your family, friends, or even to make dinner? You know what I mean? So when I go ahead and I do an item, when we put it online to different platforms, doesn't matter if it's eBay, Amazon, Etsy, we just put up the quantity that we have. And then when it sells, I have presets of exactly what the weight is. I don't even look twice at it. I just click print and then we go. When the merchandise gets to my warehouse, they're already pre-packed and ready to ship. I'm not going to put them in bubble bags and label them myself, or what are you talking about? There's no way that you could do a thrifting, flipping type of business and not just get exponentially busier as you expand. And on top of this, you would think that, okay, fine, once I expand, I just hire some employees. Well, the problem is that you'll be super, super dependent on these employees because you'll be too big to take a hit. For example, if you're anywhere, say north of like 10,000 or 20,000 listings, and then you're pumping in like 100 new listings every single day. So you need to hire somebody at a station to take photos over and over again for the next item, the next item, the next item. So what happens when she calls in sick? What happens if there's any kind of medical or family emergency on your part, on her part? You need to have so many employees on hand and people can't get sick. There's nothing else that they could do. Not to mention, when you do this type of cataloging, flipping type of business, you are kind of stuck on this eBay platform. Because if you go on multiple platforms, right? Let's say you're, getting up there with like 5,000 listings. And generally, most of these 5,000 listings, at least 4,000 of them, you only have one copy of each. So you go ahead and then you put them on multiple platforms. Whatever it is you kids want to do these days, eBay, Poshmark, right, Etsy, whatever. The moment you sell them, if you sell anywhere between 8 to 80 parcels a day, you got to take them down from all the other websites or you get in trouble or you oversold, particularly on eBay. If you run out of a particular model, you have to immediately contact the customer and then say to them, hey, I'm sorry, I ran out of this model, because that way we can amicably agree to cancel the order. Because if you just go ahead and then select that, oh, I ran out and that's it, you're going to get an item strike against you. And that's going to significantly affect your performance. Don't do that. So what happens is that all these things that I have, all this merchandise that I have to remain incredibly vigilant on all of them all the time. And this is on top of any type of returns or customer service or refurbishing something, returning things to inventory. That's so much. How are you supposed to expand on this? Because if you don't put in a lot of effort, you don't make a lot of sales. If you try to put in a lot of effort to make a lot of sales and then you grow on this, it just gets even more daunting because you're constantly going back to the drawing board and then looking for a new item and then just doing everything once. It makes so much more sense to go ahead and buy the right item to sell in bulk and then have a 3 to 4 month supply. And then all you have to do is come back and check periodically so that okay, now I'm only down to maybe a 2 month supply. I better contact my supplier to get more made. Maybe at 3 months, I should contact my supplier, depending on how far away they are, because maybe they need time. They need lead time to produce stuff. And then to ship it over, it needs time as well. And you want to reduce the costs as much as possible. So you're going to go by sea. You're not going to go by air. But then again, you might find a local distributor or a wholesaler or some other kind of, sales rep that you could buy directly from, and then you get it closer. So you could whittle your, lead time much lower because you purchase locally. But as far as the sourcing that you guys are currently doing, how many pieces can you, honestly get at a time? So one of the most saturated problems that I'm seeing right now are people talking about video games. And video games is something that everybody thinks is hot and everybody thinks that they could do. And once this word gets out, it's already spread like wildfire. And now you're seeing a lot of videos like this one of this guy. He's just completely getting out of video games now. He's actually very knowledgeable in cataloging and creating and doing this business, but now he's found a more sustainable item to do every day, as opposed to all the work that he had to put in thrifting on video games.
So there's better ways to make money. It's a lot of competition. It's a lot of work. I think that really does cover it as to why I'm done selling video games.
So what I plan to do is release a series of masterclass videos to properly address how to do eBay the right way. It's not even just eBay. It's basically how to do business the right way, whether you're on any other platform. It's just the way to properly look at things, the way to source items, to have them customized to the way you need to sell them, to all sorts of other things like negotiating with the manufacturer, having a full mental checklist of everything that you need to know before making your first purchase order. If you get into thrifting, I think you're going to put yourself in a hole where you're just digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And if anything, in my mind, it feels kind of like a slot machine. You put your money in, you bet as much as you want to bet, you're going to win now and then. But ultimately, the house is going to win on this, because if you just look at everybody's videos and what they're crowded around, what they're surrounded by, is just, tons and tons of merchandise that they haven't flipped. So how is this actually sustainable? As opposed to when you look at real success stories, like this lady from Pink Lily, okay? She started exactly the same way with thrifting. She said that she started from anything between like golf clubs and other miscellaneous items. But if you look at her today, every single one of her items is privately labeled, branded. They're obviously imported from China. But if you look at her warehouse, she has a full line of goods to comfortably and securely sell. You need that kind of stability to do business. Otherwise, you are all over the place all the time. So what I need from you guys right now, let me know exactly where you are in the eBay game currently right now. Are you just looking around? Did you actually try thrifting? And how is that genuinely working out for you? Because in my mind, this is definitely not the way to go. And I will help you along the way in your journey, okay? I am your guide, and you will be the hero to the story. I'm not selling anything. This is going to be all for free. I want to help the actual community on this issue, because the problem is this type of advice and business model is getting too many people on board, and you guys are actually drowning each other on this, because essentially you're all doing the same thing. Anybody on this platform is selling nationwide. That you could sell to any customer, right, from Maine to California. So when that happens, when you really think about it, what it really boils down to is that you are all the same shop within the same mall. How is that good for anybody? The only way to remain competitive is to make sure that there are not that many competitors. If there's too many competitors, now it becomes too competitive for you to stick around. So this is why shopping for the right item in one go and then buying many copies of it so that you have enough supply to move forward while you can look for your next item and next item. And that's the only way your business is going to be truly scalable. I'm going to teach you guys the fundamentals of a truly scalable traditional business and how it works, how you're supposed to see the market for what it really is, so that you will get definitive examples and answers to all of your questions. I hope to see you guys there. Take care, and thanks for watching.